You are on the rant couch where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Zeloff, who says, rant about Vaush. Not gonna lie, this is mainly just me trying to convince you to go on his show. Knowing that you are a pretty open-minded dude who is always open to change, I think that he might be able to move you on a few points. It wouldn't have to be a debate. He would be more than willing to have a chill chat about art and politics and bitching about Destiny. I know that your time is valuable, so I'd be more than willing to offer a monetary incentive for you to go on. IDK, I just want to see my two favorite YouTubers have a super gay chat about art and politics. Ooh woo. Well, I haven't really watched any of Vaush's stuff. I've been linked to a few of his videos, but they're all very long. It's mostly like podcast recordings or long snippets of podcast, or live stream recordings, rather. And I mean, he seems like a fine enough guy. Like, his thing is basically just he's a lefty commentator, I guess. He just talks about, I assume, communism and stuff, you know? Seems like a lot of my fans are fans of him. So I'm sure that we would be able to have a fine discussion about whatever we decided to talk about. The only thing is that people keep telling me they want me to talk to him about things, but nobody, like this post for instance, does not tell me what points you think he might be able to move me on. Like, what do you want us to talk about? Every time somebody tells me they want me to talk to Vaush, nobody has like a clear answer. Vaush himself wants me to go on his show, and I'm not disinterested in it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know when it airs. I don't know, like, if he has, like, he said he would be interested in talking to me about, like, how art works in a communist system, which is something I had been asking about on Twitter at one point. Maybe I'll go in there to talk to him about that. Maybe that conversation will only last 5 minutes, or maybe it'll last longer. I kind of feel like I have, like, maybe a couple questions that I'm interested in like having answers to on, like, the leftist platform. I don't know how easily I could just find those answers by looking them up or reading a book. You know, like, I'm not that interested in like the topic, but I don't know. It's probably worthwhile to talk to somebody who is entrenched in it, who knows a lot, and who can talk, you know, regularly to me about it. Without being weird or emotional about it, you know, maybe that'd be fun. I just haven't, like, I don't know, when should I do this? Like, what is the reason? There's not, like, a cause, you know, like, usually I don't do a lot of collaborative projects, and I don't go on a lot of people's shows. Usually if I do, it's because something sparks it. There's some kind of trigger. Like, for instance, me going on Destiny stream that time. The only reason that happened is that I had mentioned somewhere that I had, like, skimmed his debate with Dick Masterson and thought that he seemed like an asshole. Somebody requested me to do a rant about that, and I did, and then Destiny was shown that rant, and he wanted to argue with me about something on his stream. I told him the only way I would argue with him is if it was about the subject of the fact that he changes, that he puts words in people's mouths to change what they're saying. And he agreed to do that, so that was the discussion that we attempted to have, you know. It went pretty poorly. I obviously think me talking to Vaush would be a lot more interesting than me going on Destiny's show, because Destiny is a piece of shit. But, you know, there's no trigger. There's no inciting incident necessarily. There kind of was on Twitter when he first invited me on, before I knew who he was, and then people were telling me later to go on his show. Maybe this video will cause him to set dates in motion. Maybe he'll slide into my DMs, although you can't actually slide into my Twitter DMs. I have to be following you. But, you know, post in the comments, I guess. When do you want me to come on? What do you want me to talk about, you know? Because, again, I usually don't really do those kinds of appearances. It's not that I'm opposed to it. It's just that, like, I don't know what I'm going in to talk about. Like, people keep saying, talk to Vaush about politics. And I'm like, which politics? What debate do you want us to have? What is even his position on the thing? You know? Like, it's one thing for me to be told, like, oh, you guys could have an interesting conversation about, like, healthcare, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what is his position on healthcare? What is mine? How do they differ? Like, what are we even going to be talking about? Am I going to go in there and bring up the subject, and he's going to say, "Oh, I feel like this," and I'm going to say, "Oh, I feel the same way," and we go, "Oh, well, that was a short-lived conversation," you know? I really don't know. Maybe if I watched enough of his content and found something really disagreeable that I wanted to argue with him about, that might be the case, but I really don't suspect that would be the case. I have the suspicion, just based on, like, his demeanor, his general attitude, the kinds of people who follow him, that we probably don't disagree about much. That we probably feel mostly the same way about most things, but have some kind of just core theoretical difference that's like just some little minor thing that causes us to use different language in our approach to things. That's just my suspicion, but we'd really have to sort that out. Vaush, what do you think? Do you think that there's something that we feel differently about enough to have an interesting conversation about it? Let me know. Someone, please, give me topics. Convince me that there's an hour of conversation Vaush and I could have about something I'd actually be interested in talking about, or that I know something about. And maybe it could happen.